Objective Geology, multiple choice questions with answers. This is the solved question paper of Tamil Nadu Service Exam Geology 2007 question paper. And I hope this solved question paper is useful for various competitive exams like CSIR, NET, GATE, GSI and other exams. Welcome to set 1. Coming to the first question. The seismic shear waves are reallowed and attenuated in A. Lithosphere, B. Asthenosphere, C. Low velocity zone, D. Upper mantle. The seismic shear waves are reallowed and attenuated in lithosphere. Seismic shear waves are allowed to propagate through the lithosphere and also subject to attenuation. Attenuation, it refers to the decrease in the amplitude or energy of the wave as it travels through the medium. So the correct option is A. Lithosphere. Next question. A belt of negative gravity anomalies coincides with the A. Sunda Trench, B. Kurli Trench, C. Kamchatka Trench and D. Sumatra Trench. The correct option is A. Sunda Trench. A belt of negative gravity anomalies generally coincides with the Sunda Trench. The Sunda Trench, it is characterized by a distinct gravity low, indicating a region where the Earth's gravitational pull is weaker than exposed due to the mass deficiency associated with the deep trench and the subducting lithosphere. So, a belt of negative gravity anomalies coincides with the Sunda Trench. A is the correct answer. Next question. The term isostasy was proposed by A. Dutton, an American geologist in 1889, B. Sir George Airy, the Astronomer Royal in 1855, and C. Archdeacon Pratt in 1855, D. R.A. Daly in 1940. So the correct option is A. Dutton, an American geologist in 1889. The term isostasy was first proposed by American geologist Clarence Edward Dutton in 1889. Dutton's work established the principle that the Earth's crust, it is in a state of gravitational equilibrium, adjusting to changes in mass or thickness. So the term isostasy was proposed by Dutton, an American geologist in 1889. So A is the correct option. Next question. Volcanoes are more numerous around A. Atlantic Ocean, B. Antarctic Ocean, C. Indian Ocean and D. Pacific Ocean. It's a well-known question that volcanoes are more numerous around the Pacific Ocean. So this is the Pacific Ocean. It is specifically along what it is known as, also known as a ring of fire. This area, it is characterized by a horseshoe-shaped belt of volcanic activity stretching from the southern tip of South America across the west coast of North America through the Bering Sea to Japan and on to New Zealand. So volcanoes are more numerous around Pacific Ocean. D is the correct option. Next question. The discontinuity which separates the mantle and core is A. Moho discontinuity, B. Conrad discontinuity, C. Gutenberg discontinuity and D. Engelmann discontinuity. The discontinuity which separates the mantle and the core is known as a Gutenberg discontinuity. So this Gutenberg discontinuity, it is located at a depth of about 2,900 kilometers below the surface, marking a significant change in seismic wave speeds. So C. Gutenberg discontinuity is the correct option. Next question. The term lithosphere includes A. Crust and mantle, B. Crust only, C. Crust and part of upper mantle and D. None of this. The term lithosphere, it includes crust and part of upper mantle. The term lithosphere, it includes the Earth's solid outermost shell encompassing both the crust and uppermost solid portion of the mantle, and it is the rigid rock layer that sits above the weaker and ductile asthenosphere. Next question. In the Richter scale, the energy released by an earthquake of magnitude 2 as compared to magnitude 1 is about A. Twice, B. 10 times, C. 30 times and D. 100 times. So the correct option is B. 10 times. While a magnitude 2 earthquake, it is 10 times stronger in terms of amplitude compared to a magnitude 1 earthquake, it releases approximately 32 times more energy. Next question. An alluvial fan is formed due to A. Fluvial erosion, B. Fluvial deposition, C. Aeolian erosion, D. Aeolian deposition. An alluvial fan is formed due to fluvial deposition. An alluvial fan, it is formed due to the deposition of sediment by a stream or river when it enters a wider, flatter area, often from a mountainous region. As the stream's velocity slows down and spreads out, the carried sediments are deposited, creating a cone-shaped or fan-shaped landform. An alluvial fan is formed due to fluvial deposition. B is the correct option. Next question. Which of the following is a group of coral islands with a deep central horizon? A. Faroes, B. Shelf atolls, C. Oceanic atolls, D. Guyets. So the correct option is C. Oceanic atolls. A group of coral islands with a deep central origin is called as an oceanic atoll. Atolls are formed when a volcanic island sinks into the ocean and a coral reef continues to grow upwards, eventually forming a ring-shaped reef surrounding a central lagoon. Next question. The coastal zone where the ground slopes away from the shoreline is called A. Berm, B. Beach face, C. Offshore point, and D. Surf zone. So the correct option is A. Berm. The coastal zone where the ground slopes away from the shoreline is generally called a beach berm. A berm is a ridge or bank of sand or gravel parallel to the shoreline formed by wave action, depositing material beyond the normal water level. Next question. Tambolos are formed A. Along the straight coastal shores, B. In backwater shores, C. Between two islands, D. Around an island. The correct option is C. Between two islands. Tambolos can be formed between two islands. A tambolo is a landform that connects an island to either the mainland or another island, created by the deposition of sand and other sediments carried by waves and currents. This deposition forms a bar or spit that bridges the gap between the land masses. Next question. A longitudinal dune parallel to windward direction is known as A. Birchens, B. Stripe, C. Parabolic dunes, D. None. So the correct option is B. Siph. A longitudinal dune that is parallel to the windward direction is also known as a Siph dune. Siph dunes are long, narrow dunes or these are chains of dunes that align themselves parallel to the prevailing wind. And these are characterized by having two slip faces, making them sharp crested. So a longitudinal dune parallel to windward direction is known as a Siph dune. Next question. New oceanic crust is formed at A. Subduction zone, B. Spreading center, C. Collision zone, and D. Hotspot zone. New oceanic crust is formed at spreading centers. These spreading centers are also known as mid-oceanic ridges where tectonic plates are moving apart. At these locations, magma from the Earth's mantle rises to the surface. It cools and solidifies, creating new oceanic crust. And this process is known as seafloor spreading. So, new oceanic crust is formed at spreading centers. B is the correct option. Next question. The maximum measured rate of seafloor spreading is about A. 2 centimeters per year, B. 6 centimeters per year, C. 12 centimeters per year, and D. 16 centimeters per year. So the correct option is the maximum measured rate of seafloor spreading is about 16 centimeters per year. However, it's important to note that the spreading rates they vary across the different mid-oceanic ridges. Next question. Polished and faceted surfaces produced by wind abrasion are known as. Choices are A. Serres, B. Yardungs, C. Ventifacts, and D. Lewis. Polished and faceted surfaces produced by wind abrasion are known as ventifacts. These ventifacts are formed by the abrasive action of the wind-blown sand or ice crystals. And this process is known as aeolian erosion, and it carves the characteristic flat faces. These are also known as the facets on the rock, and they often at the sharp angles. So polished and faceted surfaces produced by wind abrasion are known as ventifacts. Next question. Ripple marks are essentially A. Aeolian, B. Aeolian and fluvial, C. Fluvial, D. Aeolian and glacial. Ripple marks are essentially aeolian and fluvial. So they are primarily formed by either aeolian, that is wind, or fluvial, means river processes. And they are small ridge-like structures, and these are formed at the interface between a moving fluid, that means it can be either water, and a movable sediment. Aeolian ripples are wind formed, while water formed ripples, they can be further categorized as current ripples. These are formed by unidirectional water flow, or wave ripples. These are formed by wave action. So ripple marks are essentially aeolian and fluvial. Next question. The dip of a stratum is the angle between the bedding and a horizontal plane. It is measured in A. Vertical plane that strikes at 90 degrees to the strike of the bedding. B. Horizontal plane that strikes at 90 degrees to the strike of the bedding. C. Vertical plane that strikes at 45 degrees to the strike of the bedding. And D. Oblique plane that strikes at 90 degrees to the strike of the bedding. The dip of a stratum, it is the angle between the bedding and a horizontal plane, and it is measured in a vertical plane that strikes at 90 degrees to the strike of the bedding. So dip refers to the angle of inclination of a geological stratum or a feature relative to a horizontal plane. So this is measured in a vertical plane perpendicular to the strike. That means the direction of the intersection with a horizontal plane. Next question. Strike and dip of a geologic formation can be measured with the help of A. Brunton compass, B. Seismogram, C. Caliper logging, and D. Planimeter. Strike and dip of a geological formation, it can be measured with the help of a Brunton compass, and this Brunton compass can be used to measure the strike and dip of a geologic formation, and the compass is composed of or it is used to determine the azimuth of the strike, that means the direction of the horizontal line on the inclined plane, and the clinometer measures the dip, that means the angle of the inclination of the plane from the horizontal. Next question. A fold in which both the limbs are overturned is called as A. Box fold, B. Chevron fold, C. Fan fold, and D. Recumbent fold. A fold in which both the limbs are overturned is called as a recumbent fold. A fold where both limbs are overturned, that means meaning they both dip in the same direction, is called as a recumbent fold. In a recumbent fold, the axial plane, that means the imaginary surface that splits with the fold in half, it is nearly horizontal and the limbs are parallel to each other and to the surface. So a fold in which both the limbs are overturned is called as recumbent fold. Hope you have followed the content of the question. See you in the next video. Hope you can subscribe to this Explore Geosciences for more content. Thank you.